right, here we are.
Yay.
Episode 74. Right?
Yeah.
74?
74.
All right, sweet.
674.
Hey everybody, this is Sean from the Harsh Review with my brother Ryan, and This is episode 74.
If we were a human, we'd be close to death.
Yes.
If this podcast were a person, to the later throes.
Yes, we're hanging in there. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon.
Yes.
And
early bird special.
Early bird special, but you're not going to hear it until Tuesday at the earliest. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been one of those weeks. Been pretty busy. You know, work's been fine. Everything's going great. And went and saw big movies and other movies. But before we talk about Avengers and the Game of Scones, which would be the name of my bakery shop if I were to open one.
Oh, that's very original.
Yep, thank you. Have you seen Huge in France?
No.
Okay, you're gonna watch it.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna like it.
I think I saw. What's that about? Like, what's the synopsis, or just like a tagline?
There's the most successful comedian in Paris or France. His name is what the hell's his name? Ged.
Ged.
I don't know. Gio. Three words. Sir Gad. G-A-D. Gad.
Okay.
And was known as the Jerry Seinfeld of France.
Hey, Jerry Seinfeld. Oui.
Yeah, get it out. And so it's about him coming over to the States and like nobody knows him over here. He's not popular, and he's just trying to deal with that while dealing with like his family issues, and he's trying to like not be a comedian anymore and like be a father to his estranged son that he had with some like American tourist 15 years ago. It's very Curb Your Enthusiasm-esque.
Oh,
but it's really funny. It's really, I was actually surprised how good it was.
One of my favorite shows.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is right up your alley. I mean, Seinfeld's in it a couple times. It's got Chris D'Elia's in it. There's I can't remember the actor's name. There's an actor in there that kind of reminds us of a jacked up version of our younger brother. He plays a character named Jason Allen Roth, right?
Jesse
That's the
Pinkman?
name. No, Jason Allen Roth. And that's the I don't know how you heard Jesse Pinkman and all that, but that's the name of the character on the show.
That's the brother reminds me of.
Oh, no, that's not fair.
You brought it up.
More like Badger.
Oh God.
And yeah, so he makes the show for me. He's really good.
Okay.
Check it out. They're half-hour episodes, maybe like 10 to 12 episodes. You'll burn through the whole thing, but
so it's a series.
It is. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Really good. Really good.
Nice. Yeah. I started. I got a couple episodes in on Cobra Kai.
How far did you make it? As far as I did,
like a couple episodes.
It's brutal, right? It's just like okay,
it's harder this time.
Yeah,
because we've dispensed with the nostalgia, and now we got to deal with Kreese's like heavily Botoxed face and bullshit that he's feeding these kids, and also child endangerment, just breaking every rule in the book and not getting caught. Let's send some kids through a concrete mixer, and see if they come out the other side, and it'll make them a man. Just totally no respect for the law.
None.
And yeah, this guy is a monster, and he should be locked up behind bars.
Yeah, it's
pretty much, right?
Yeah, basically, it's pretty bad. We could make it further. I was like, you know what, I might try and chip away at this over a period of time, but it's just not gonna happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to see like Ralph Macchio does not age at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's just so we see that again, and then you get the he's coming under fire for like whitewashing, right? Like whatever he's trying to portray with his commercial for his dojo. Just pretty much like now we see what Miyagi was doing. He was just getting cheap labor, and And Ralph Macchio's doing the same. Daniel San's doing the same thing. He says, and the kids are this time they're hip to it. They're like, we're not doing this. Like,
Yeah, that's
we
true.
knew this was a scam. Yeah. So I think I'm good.
You think you're gonna call it?
I think I'm gonna call it because there's just too much other stuff going on, and I want to, it's hard.
Sure.
It's a tough haul.
Life ain't easy, man.
I'm trying though, but
All right. You're trying.
I'm trying.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, okay, well, you gave it a fair shake.
Yeah.
So now what? Where are we?
So I think this episode, by the time this airs, Avengers Endgame will have been out for a couple weeks, and we'll already moved on to Game of Thrones, another episode, but we'd like to talk about episode 3, season 8. And if I'll make the comparison again, and I'll make it twice in this episode. I think the second episode was kind of like Saving Private Ryan, when they were all sitting around bullshitting before the battle.
Sure.
This episode, it's pretty much Saving Private Ryan, but D-Day. And the Hound pulls an Upham.
The Hound pulls an Upham. He did.
Yeah,
he did.
He did, right?
It took me a second. Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled a total Upham, and just like he was just a coward lurking in the background, not doing shit.
Yeah.
But this was. Whew.
Well, what'd you think? I mean, like, basically, it's just a huge battle going on, right?
Yeah, I dug it though because, well, first of all, we finally got our like hour and a half that we had been kind of waiting for, and we were all expecting them all to be 90 minutes, and the first two were a little bit over an hour. This one was about an hour and 30 something. So we knew this was coming. I liked the pacing of it because it wasn't all it was for a minute, just like crazy, relentless battle. But then like you cut away to like other stuff going on that wasn't as intense.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully that was kind of nice to have that. We just kind of like we had some people die. I didn't know what Bran was doing. I don't know
what the creeper in the chair.
Yeah, I mean,
he knew. Well, okay, we'll get to that, but go ahead.
Arya Stark, of course, like comes through, and I knew she would. So that was kind of cool. All that training's paid off.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also the Night King is not very exciting.
No, other than like his Reservoir Dogs entrance.
Right. Yeah. So, that was pretty cool, though. I mean, like we got to see some dragons get pretty jacked up. Again, we got to see some people die. We got to see all the zombies. For a minute, like I kept thinking Army of Darkness for some reason. Like,
a little bit, right? Bit.
It reminded me of that. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. I mean, it was pretty, but again, it was pretty relentless. Some people were complaining about like how dark it was.
Because it was super dark.
Visually, yeah. So, I mean, and then whatever. I mean, that's just.
Well, was it dark for you?
No. It was fine for me. I don't know.
It was pretty dark,
people...
and it's has a lot to do with the encoding for streaming and what time you watched it. Yeah. So if you jumped on right away and you watched it right away, then it was gonna be pretty dark because the encoding wasn't gonna be too hot.
Sure.
But it's the cinematographer, whoever shot it, went on Twitter like having to defend himself and was like, "It's not sharp, it's not too dark. I shot it, I would know." Oh, and like instantly like was like getting a little fresh. So that was kind of funny. But then so people were lighting him up for that. But I mean, I thought it was a little too dark. They really what they normally do would be like when you mix music. A lot of people go and listen to it in their car because you need to hear it on a different platform than it's being delivered. Yeah. And when you color grade film footage, it's kind of similar, like where where are people going to be watching this the most? And that's what I should probably color grade it for. So it was shot and color graded for cinema. and not necessarily for digital distribution. That's usually something that happens prior to digital distribution.
Right.
And so that's why it was pretty dark. Whereas if you went and saw it in a movie theater, it would have been fine. But another issue with that is it also, people were thinking that they were trying to, reduce the costs, because it does give you lots of advantages. If the darker it is, like the less detail you have to do. And they did take advantage of that, where you don't need to have as much depth of view. I mean, they didn't have to show as much blood and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't take away from the feat that what they did. Definitely was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
Had lots of separate, isolated moments that didn't really seem repetitive, which was kind of nice. But I did get a little, I just don't really ever believe like those scenes, where like the dragon lady and then the guy who's like Khaleesi, whatever his name is. Sir Jorah.
Sir Jorah.
Jorah, yeah.
Like Jorah Mormont and then Daenerys, right?
Yeah, it's just hard to believe that, like, you can just stand there and they'll just come flooding you one at a time and you got this.
Yeah. You'd be cut down a lot quicker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that going on to where, it works well for cinema, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, like, let's speculate, like, what happens next. So, it's like, obviously, you're going to have a lot of cleanup to do. You pretty much defeated your enemy. There's still questions, again, like, what was Bran
let's go
doing?
back to what you mentioned. So,
yeah.
I mean, early on in the season, he gave Arya that blade. That was like, ooh, this is Valyrian steel. It's the only thing that kills the White Walkers, right?
Right.
Because the dragon glass was for everybody else, but not for those guys. And so that's kind of the, like, he knew, because he could see in the future that, like, you're going to put this to use.
Right.
And so he was sitting there as bait, because he kind of knew that, like, oh yeah, this guy just wants to kill me because he's going to eliminate, all the memories of the world, which reside in whoever happens to be the third-eyed raven, which is kind of like a, something you pass on when you die. So him killing that person before he would pass it on in the same place that he was created, because he was created there. Like, he kind of knew all that stuff. He's coming back to the place where he was created, and that's where we're going to kill him.
Yeah.
And so, but it was just a little convenient, like, oh, and there she is, and he's dead, and all that set up. And so, and let's wrap it up. So I personally, while I enjoyed what's on the screen, it's most likely one of those episodes that, like, if this had high replayability, you'd probably just skip it.
Yeah, it's a little bit much, dude. It was just like, whoa, then the giant, and you know what I mean? It's just like, and it's like everybody wakes up again. It's just like it was like a video game. You know what I mean? Like someone reset the bullshit, and then all these guys came back to life, and it started to feel like that. What's that game with the zombies in the mall?
Oh, Days. Or what the hell is it called? I know you're talking about.
It felt like that, where they just kept spawning and coming back, and it's just like they're all over the freaking place, and you're just, okay, I give up. This is this is too much.
Yeah, I know that game.
But I mean, the deaths. Who dies?
Okay, so you have the little girl.
Right.
Got squeezed like a grape by the giant.
Yeah. Totally.
So she's done. You got Sir Jorah. Jorah, whatever his name was. Jorah of Marmont. He's dead.
Yes, he's dead. He bought it.
He got it. You've got Mick Jagger. He died.
Mick Jagger.
Yeah. The
guy with the flaming sword?
No, that guy's dead.
Barrack, yeah.
Yeah, Mick Jagger. He's the guy.
Mick Jagger.
That got his penis cut off.
Yeah. Theon.
There you go. Yeah, it looks like Mick Jagger, like a '60s Mick Jagger.
Okay. I was like, who?
Theon. He went out in style, so he's donezo.
But he went up guns a-blazing, or spear a-blazing rather, and then
he held his own. I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
Respect.
but it's cool, like how Bran creepy as he is, he's like so forgiving and like zen now. You know what I mean?
He's not Bran anymore.
Yeah, right. So it's like
So he's like,
he's
I've
like
transcended.
the Buddha character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like that.
I'm not Bran anymore. That's why he was like, I forgive you, Jaime Lannister.
Yeah, for throwing me off a
Right.
tower after seeing you commit incest.
Yeah.
Like, you know, few would forgive that.
Well, that's why he said the things we do for love. Like, that's
Yes.
what Jaime said to him when he shoved him off.
I love it. Yeah, and then he brought it back again.
Yeah. He's
That
like the
line.
big slam. Like, I know,
Yeah.
fool.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, who else died? Am I forgetting anybody?
I think that covers it.
That wasn't a whole lot. Oh,
but I mean, a lot of
witch.
random.
She did, that was convenient.
Yeah.
The Red Witch just shows up, does her little flame tricks out front.
Melisandre, yeah.
Yeah. And then
that was
splits.
convenient.
It
Yeah,
was. I
bye.
mean, she just shows up on a horse, like, oh yeah, just roll in. Here I am to give you some flames because it's really dark and it looks really cool on camera.
Right.
And then I'm just gonna bounce. And I was like, what? Okay. I felt like, you know, whatever. I'll let you have this one.
It's funny how like now that I'm almost done with book 5, it's like it ends way before all this stuff happens. So it's like they've taken this story, HBO, and just kind of run with it.
They branched off a while ago.
Yeah. Well,
and he said he kind of gave him like the gist. He said he gave him like the talking points and the main things that happen, and to have like creative liberties of like, you know, just do what you got to do from here on out. But
yeah,
it kind of is becoming its own thing.
I was reading, being a Grateful Dead fan, I was reading couple posts about all the Grateful Dead ties in the Game of Thrones and how it's supposed to end based around the song Terrapin Station, which just kind of sounds ridiculous. But
they're gonna play that song and then
no, it's like there's a story and that's right.
Okay.
It's like there's stuff in there that's like you got the Dire Wolf, that's a Dead song. You know, there's a lot of locations in the series that are named after Dead songs. There's a story in the song Terrapin Station that's they say like Lady in the Fire, you know, throws a flame, makes two people fight. Something that's just kind of paraphrasing it.
Well, it's like at the end, you know, where Jon Snow probably lives at the end of the whole thing, and then like, so what are you gonna do now, John? And he's like, just gonna keep on trucking.
I'm going to Disneyland. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on trucking, bro.
Yeah. So you asked earlier. I mean, what do you think happens next?
Well, you definitely
Where
have
do
to
we
go
from here.
You have to go back to what Cersei Lannister's doing, you know, because we haven't even seen her, right? Like,
no, they had a couple. She had a couple moments where she's with
she bangs some dude,
the arrogant guy.
Yeah.
Well, she's probably just gonna kill him and be like, "All right, I got your ships now. You should have trusted me."
So it's like, now it's like you guys are decimated from this battle, and you're gonna have to fight like the Golden Company or whatever, and then all of Cersei's people. So, you know, it's gonna be another. Pretty much, I don't know if they've said there's going to be another crazy fight scene, but it could happen that way.
Yeah, probably.
You're gonna have
probably not at the same level.
Yeah, I mean, other deaths will occur. I know Bronn might show up and kill Tyrion and Jaime, so that could happen.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
You think that's gonna happen? You think one of those guys are gonna die, or
I think one of them's gonna kill him.
Okay,
and I think Jaime's gonna kill his sister.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm calling that too.
I think that Tyrion's going to live. I don't know if he's going to die. He might, but he's kind of like the best part of the whole show. So
he could have his own
if he goes,
spin-off.
People will rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have his own spinoff, but I think that I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they're kind of alluding how stupid he is and this and that, and he's the kind of character you kind of want to like, you know, you got to have some kind of redemption for him because his life's been just as hard as everybody else's.
Totally.
You know, so I even though I know it's not their nature, they're kind of past the George R.R. Martin phase. Yeah. You know, where he would kill people off and they're like, why? But, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's just like when you're wrapping a show up, that's typically what happens. Yeah. You just start axing people because you can, and that's just, you want to end stuff and get some people out of the way and then
wrap it up.
Clear it for the big showdown.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got, 3 episodes left?
Yeah. So we're halfway point.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, episode 4 will have aired by the time this podcast goes live. So, you know, we'll be talking about the next one. And then we'll be done with this show and then on to other stuff.
Onwards, yeah. And who knows what's next?
Yeah. Game of Scones.
So yeah, Game of Scones.
The bakery.
I mean, it's a good show. I really like how well it's made,
Yeah.
and I know that a lot of people give it shit. Like there's people out there that will, because everybody talks about it, and I kind of was like a contrarian, with like shows like Breaking Bad was one of those ones. I didn't watch Breaking Bad since day one. Like I almost, I'm typically somebody who's going to go against like what popular opinion is.
You probably like Saul better, huh?
I think Saul's more realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch Breaking Bad again, it's a little ridiculous. But
yeah, and they get away with a ton of shit, and it's like
but
in the moment you're like, oh, this is cool because it's a different concept. But yeah, I mean, in retrospect,
it's good writing is different, and that's what made it great. But in hindsight, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's definitely a little bold. But anyways, I like Saul because it is a little bit more character development. And they seem more like real people,
Sure.
But anyways, what the hell was I talking about? Yeah. So anyways, I know there's a lot of people that don't see it and they're proud to not see it because the masses see it.
Yeah.
But it truly is for TV. It's really a really good show.
It's a cultural event too. I mean, it brings back a lot of other shows that, and mostly on HBO. I mean, The Sopranos, that was a big deal. Lost. This show, and then it goes back even further to, shows in the 80s maybe that, you had to you couldn't really binge it. So it's like this show doesn't really lend itself to binging. It's kind of nice to have that cliffhanger.
It doesn't, but I mean, the other part is like HBO is going to need to get over that at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're anticipating 30% drop in subscriptions once Game of Thrones is over.
Definitely.
And I wish I could just binge the whole thing. Like, I don't like this piecemeal it out to me a week at a time. Like that's old news. Like time to move on.
But I was kind of binging it too as I was reading the books, and it's still kind of cool to see. I mean, you could watch a bunch in a row. It's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's not like it doesn't really get stale like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
So all right, onwards and upwards.
Yes.
Game of Scones.
All right.
All right, so let's talk about Endgame.
All right.
Clearly, we're going to talk about spoilers.
Yes.
I hope you guys assumed that when we started talking about dragons.
Statute of limitations has been lifted.
Yeah. That movie has like a day. Like I wasn't on social or anything. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm not risking it. I want to make sure, I can go in there and watch it without some idiot going like, oh,
right.
So I went and saw it on Sunday afternoon at the nice fancy theater where I ordered some $14 pretzel bites,
Sweet.
$17 barbecue chicken pizza,
Nice.
and I ate it all in my seat with 20-ounce Coke and a nice glass thing. And I was like, I'm going all out on this one.
No bathroom breaks for you?
I took a piss and actually Googled when's a good time to take a piss.
Nice.
And so I knew when to get up and go.
In this case, probably the first hour and a half. Because I'll just say it right now, the first hour and a half of this movie reminded me of episodes 1 and 2 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So not to say it's,
all right, so we're not necessarily, we can just go all over the map with this discussion because there's probably a lot better places out there that are going to give you their reviews and all that and their plot points and break it all down. And I don't really want to walk through the whole thing and tiptoe and comment on it, but I think we should talk about it for a bit because it is a pretty big achievement, over $1.2 billion worldwide in 3 days.
I hope it knocked out Avatar, did it?
It broke all the records that were possible within 3 days. But Avatar's all time, so it's still has a hill to climb. But it's the most successful movie in China ever. They already crossed the $500 million mark because China only allows something like 32 foreign films per year, and so it's like a real strict to get a showing there. So it's like that market's really hard to break into, and then it has to be edited for the Chinese market. Because of communism and stuff.
Right.
But so I mean, first impressions without going into any details, did you like it? What do you think? What would you grade or score it as?
I liked it. I'd give it an A-. I really enjoy, I really did enjoy it. It was a good culmination of everything, and like I had said in previous episodes, I kind of came late to this show, with the Marvel Universe, just kind of catching up and watching stuff piecemeal and not really getting too excited about it like everyone else was, but I kind of bought into it and really liked it. This movie, I feel it could have used a little editing, to be honest with you. That's my only really big complaint. And I could pick stuff apart. I mean, I'll still give it the A-, but I feel it could have been a little shorter in parts.
Sure.
I like how they brought in a little more humor to counteract like the darkness that was going on. In the first movie of this series, or rather, Avengers Infinity War, I kind of like Thanos was kind of like very charismatic. You kind of like not sided with them, but
you empathize with his point of view.
And in this one, he was just a total dick. So I'm like, yeah, kill this guy, like knock his
which was kind of nice,
stupid chin, yeah. He's like the anti George Lucas. George Lucas has the weak chin, and Thanos has the chin that George Lucas wishes he had.
Yeah,
right, pretty much. Speaking of chins, but yeah, I mean, it was very entertaining. Like, it's a good popcorn movie. It didn't. I mean, for those of you going in there expecting, and everyone's seen this already, but this slam bam action every second, you're not going to get that. So there's
not a lot of action.
No, I mean,
it's like a soap opera.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of it was that. Was cool to see, like, Ant-Man show up, and they developed a little bit more of a Hawkeye's character, who again is like, it's like you have all these people with the superpowers, and then you have people that are really good with a bow and arrow. And all of a sudden he's really good with a samurai sword. I didn't know that was part of his repertoire.
Yeah, it's part of this character arc where, he becomes Ronin,
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the cold opening was cool. Like you usually get that like very intensely loud like Marvel opening.
Yeah,
it's just it's just like you didn't get that. Like I was kind of waiting around for that. Spoiler alert: there's no end credit scene. So I stuck around for it like a sucker and got nothing.
I googled it. I was like, "Is there one?" I did it right when it happens.
Everybody was leaving, and I was like, "Wait, where are you going?" Like,
you damn fools! While judging, I was like, "Wait a second, do they know something I don't?" Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Again, like any movie with time travel, I'm still like going to be confused. So I mean, you do your best, but it's always going to be a mess with the time travel.
Fair.
Interesting to see Thor pretty much turn into the Big Lebowski. That was kind of cool. Like, turn a big fat slob.
And he stayed that way the whole movie.
Yeah, I give it up to him for that. Different like take on like Hulk. I think like a lot of people.
Hulk.
Yeah, but this like hip Hulk too. It's just like, yeah, I'm Hulk all the time now. It's
well, people, that was a version of Hulk that was in the 80s and 90s,
right?
Where Bruce Banner, like the dual personalities, kind of like came to a truce.
He found big enough glasses to fit that gigantic head.
Yeah, and he's all popular, but like it's. I think I kind of missed. I liked Bruce Banner as a character, so I kind of missed having him there, even though like he also has kind of been behind the scenes too much.
Yeah.
To be honest. So it was also a nice way to kind of give his character a little bit more screen time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would agree that Smart Hulk was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of humorous, if anything, but
sure.
Like parts of it reminded me of the Ragnarok, just with the humor and stuff.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit more of that, but it's cool to see everybody kind of come together at the end. That was kind of neat.
So any like favorite moments for you?
Like definitely the end battle scene. Of course, that was pretty cool. Not so favorite moments like Iron Man. What happens to him?
Yeah,
that really sucked.
But expected.
Yeah, I was
Everybody
calling
thought Captain America was going to die, but
that's what I was shooting for there.
Yeah, they kind of set it up that way.
Yeah.
It's a good way to throw you off.
Yeah, and same with Black Widow, right? Like I didn't really call that one. That was kind of a cool scene though, where they're It's like, oh yeah, we have one of us has to die because that's what happened with the other time we got this stone. So, and that was Hugo Weaving again, right?
No, it was never him when they redid it. They had like
Oh.
a voice actor kind of clone it.
Okay.
Yeah. That was one of the ones they didn't bring back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought overall it was pretty good. The cinematography, of course, like the CGI was great. I don't know if I go back and see it again because 3 hours is a long time. You know, like I went to a late night showing and like it started
You're
late.
exhausted, huh?
Yeah, dude, it started late. I think it messed my whole week up. It started
Aw.
like I came in and there's a line and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I have an assigned seat and they're like, yeah, we're a little behind. I'm like, how are you behind? If you start the movie at a certain time and whatever.
Yeah,
and
stick
then
to
it's
the
like
schedule.
20 minutes of previews. I'm like, all right, looking at my watch. I'm like, I've seen these previews already. Let's just get to the movie.
Yes.
So that was a little bit of a whatever, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
All right.
Let's get Sean rip away because
No.
I know it's coming, sir. Because the thing you texted me on Sunday was like, I just saw Avengers. Did you like it? I was like, here we go.
No. So
Okay.
I'll go back to my contrarian ways. Here's what bothers me, right?
Okay.
And this is just my personal, not necessarily Avengers, but it made $1.2 billion, right?
Right.
That's not because it's a good movie. That's because of the
Yeah.
marketing and the hype and the force behind it.
Yeah,
So you gotta stay objective, but most people don't talk about it objectively.
Big money does not a good movie make.
Correct. And
Times,
so
right?
I always, that just bothers me because I'm like, the Transformers
Case in
killed it,
point,
and those movies are
Avatar.
terrible.
Yeah. Avatar. Hunk of
Yeah, but
shit.
Avatar deserves some of its money. As
Okay.
unpopular as that is with some other fellow podcasters, the reason why I say that is because at least it brought cinematic innovation,
Yes.
right? Just like The Matrix did, and it was a tentpole movie for how movies were made.
Okay. Yeah.
So I give it that, and that's kind of the hype that brought people to it.
Yeah.
So it earned that. What this version is episodic storytelling in movie format with characters we love. It's never been done before, and they did a really good job with it. So I do think they did a good job, and they made a good movie.
Yes.
It just, for me, I knew time travel or quantum realm was going to come up, but I wasn't expecting a time heist movie.
Yeah, right.
So part of me was kind of like, hey, this is really clever. This is not what I was expecting. It was like everything I was expecting, it didn't do.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it felt like you can just redo whatever the hell you want and back yourself out of any corner with this time Pym particles concept and all this stuff, which is a little too convenient.
Sure.
And so I just kind of like, whenever you do time travel, like you instantly, it's like Lost, remember I mentioned that earlier. The show was going in a great direction for several seasons, and then it kind of started bottoming out around season 4 and 5.
That's the
J.J.
J.J. Abrams at Castle Rock was kind of like that for me too. I thought it was a good show, and then like bringing the wormhole bullshit.
Yeah,
and it seems
there it went.
It seems now like you'd have your random time travel movies, and it seems now like the time travel has become this cinematic motif. Where you just kind of haul it in, you just drag it on in and be all right, people, go with us on this one. Like, we're gonna, and it's kind of like, all right, we're gonna do this now. Like,
it's just a way to give you the most flexibility as a storyteller, so you can kind of do whatever you want.
But you also lay it out in terms like, okay, you guys won't really understand this, but this is what we're gonna do. It's like because a lot of the language and stuff, you can get confused really quickly.
They did a good job with it.
Yeah, they did
how they handled it. They made it as clear as they could, and I thought it was just really clever how they did it. Going back in time in their other movies and kind of touring their catalog. That's really smart.
That was cool. Yeah,
you
saw Quill and and they were just kind of checking him out and goofing on him.
And
that was cool.
And like the themes, the themes really over the overall in the movie are saying things to the loved ones that you wanted to say, but you never like. Character resolution, kind of like, because all of the main people had like their moments,
right?
And at first I was kind of like, all right, this is getting a little, just on with it,
sure.
And that's kind of what was happening, where I just saw a little bit too much of like, oh, now Thor's going to meet with his mom and Tony's going to meet with his dad.
Right.
And, this character is meeting with this person and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of part is just, it's fan service, but at the same time, it was just like, all right, is that really like how these events went, or is that it's a little too heavy on the storytelling?
It kind of dragged it down a little bit,
It did.
It's just like, all right, dude. Like,
it felt like fan service and not necessarily what would have really happened.
Right.
Like, this is just really convenient for all
like,
these
you
characters
guys,
to have one more.
Don't really have time to do this shit, so let's wrap it up, because we got to save the world here.
So I liked what they did with the time travel. I just, in my mind, I would have thought there would have been, I mean, not as far as like, Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass and exploding.
That was a good call. I mean, I would have loved to see that.
And they should have acknowledged that at some way in the movie.
Totally could. It would have been sweet.
I just kind of wish that they maybe just didn't make it that easy. So, but I will say, like, you really got to hand it to them that they knew what they were up against, and I think that they went against everything. So you could tell, like, within the first 15 minutes, it cut Thanos' head off, and you're like, shit,
sweet, yeah.
Like, okay, well, now what?
I was like, whoops, like, that wasn't really supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Faux pas.
So it was like, now what, right?
Yeah.
And so that got me really kind of curious. Like, okay, I'm like, now I don't know what the hell they're gonna do.
Right.
So they handled that pretty well. I liked the whole Infinity Stones go back in time kind of thing. I liked the idea.
Right.
Didn't quite explain how, like, the time travel thing was just a little too casual or convenient once they figured it out. Oh yeah, just put this watch on and hit a button and off you go.
Yeah. Tony Stark made it in like 20 minutes. Like, all right. Like,
I figured out time travel.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you did? Okay.
Okay, yeah. You didn't want to tell us about this before there, Tony?
Yeah.
Like,
so, there's those kinds of moments.
Right.
I mean, I did like the last scene. It was really cool seeing, Captain America get Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
And I thought Thanos was a badass in this movie. Where I thought he was in the last one, but he didn't seem to use his powers as much. I'm sorry, you saw him without the glove, right? So you kind of saw just raw power, whereas in the last one he had stones in his hands.
Right.
And Tony Stark dying was cool as far as like the story and how it goes, because he's like it all started with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the most like self-serving hero, like anti-hero, didn't want to be a hero, and now he did like the most heroic thing he could do. So that was kind of nice to see.
Guys whose contracts were up, a couple of them, you're like, yep, let's just get rid of them this way.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Well, yeah, because they did like the Star Trek 6 signature thing at the end, like when they did the last Star Trek movie, like when all those people were done, they had and they said they stole it from that. So I read that in an interview.
Okay.
That they really liked how, like, Captain Kirk and Spock and all those folks were signing their names in the end credits of the last Star Trek movie, because they knew like this is it.
That was cool.
They took that for this, which was a nice nod.
I like that.
And so I mean, I think that other moments of it that were a surprise, but not surprising, was they really focused on like the core 6 of the Avengers. So I kind of like that they really didn't spend a lot of time with all these other people in their screen time.
Yeah. Then it would just felt too like, too
Overkill.
much going on. Yeah, just like mind overload. It's like you already have to deal with this time travel business.
Sure.
So you just kind of bring in like a small group. I thought that was sweet. And then you know those other guys are coming back at the end, so that's just your big finale there, which was nice.
No, I would agree. But what I mean, here's the main things that bothered me though in the movie.
Okay.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Thanks.
Other than showing up in the beginning, you really didn't have much of a role.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit strange, because I know they're launching a new franchise and stuff with her, but I really just kind of felt like she really wasn't necessary. So why release this Captain Marvel?
All these other planets are facing similar catastrophes, so I can't be all over the place, guys.
It's like,
see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just kind of
Yeah.
dumb. I thought she would have more of a
I don't
role,
really like her
especially because of how
I
they
didn't really
set
care
it up.
for a new haircut either.
No,
I liked
know.
her
It's like,
old
can I talk to your manager?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Who's your barber? Carol.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I like her.
Yeah,
I think
no,
she
she's
does
good.
a good
She's
job.
really good. I like Captain
They just
Marvel
didn't
a
do
lot.
much with her.
Yeah, I like the movie a lot, and I think some people were expecting the movie to kind of do what Black Panther did like last year, which was kind of set it up in a big way with the character. But yeah, she was like, she just kind of showed up at the last minute. Oh, okay, where you been?
Yeah.
You know, okay.
I think my favorite part of the entire movie was when, Tony Stark mentioned something to Doctor Strange, like, well, if you know how this is all, you saw this happen 14 something million ways, is this supposed to happen?
Right.
He goes, if I tell you, then it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So like he knows, and that's why he had to spare Iron Man's life in the last movie. Right. Because he knew that he was going to be able to, he was going to do this.
So he pretty much figured out like it's going to happen.
Yeah, he knew. And so when that moment came, he kind of puts up his finger like, this is that moment.
Yeah.
And then you kind of knew right then, like, oh, I got it. I know it's going to happen. So that was a really cool executed, because those, you can tell, I mean, like those actors are like much better actors compared to some of the other actors in the show.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it really shows like, when they're doing something like that. And that was my favorite moment, was just the,
I like Cumberbatch. He's great.
Yeah,
he's really good. I mean, they kind of didn't use him as much, but he was kind of gone most of the time.
You would have thought there would have been more of like a conversation or something between like Groot and Rocket.
Yeah.
Like the Guardians folks didn't really have much of a role in it. You know what I mean? And like to me, like they only really work as an ensemble, kind of. Like,
yeah.
I don't, individually, like what's your contribution, Peter Quill?
The stuff at the end was funny though.
Know?
With Thor and Quill. That kind of,
I know.
I can see that setting up the next Guardians. Where it's Thor's on board for that one.
Sure.
That would be funny because they have good chemistry.
What'd you think of Fat Thor?
I liked Fat Thor. I don't know. It's just a different take on it.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was, but it was just like, okay, just keep drinking and pass it out all over the place. So it's just like, okay, get with the program here, dude. We kind of need you because you're one of the strongest of us. Interesting, it's just kind of like they had to do some changes because it was taking place a little bit later on. So that was one of them. Besides, like the Hulk thing.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I can deal with Fat Thor.
Yeah, so I would say like in the end, I mean, that was a good movie and they did a good job wrapping everything up. I just wish we would have gotten a little bit more of a movie out of it and less of like a resolution piece.
Right.
I don't think you really need to. I mean, the comics don't normally like wrap everything up all nice and pretty like a lot of times like that because there's no actors connected to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you can just pencil in the next thing and it's like big deal. Or you could start a whole new story and it doesn't matter. But because there's because it's these actors and they're paying respects to them and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I would love to get like just a box set that has all of them, and you can watch them all and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it really is pretty impressive that there are 22, I think.
Yeah.
22 movies that, are all kind of just like a
cool,
comic book series, and then.
It'd be cool because I read about just a quick little sidebar. Tarantino for Hateful Eight. They just put that on Netflix, but in a different kind of way, and it's a pretty long movie. So he edited it down to like a couple of 50-minute episodes, and added some extra footage. I haven't seen it yet, but I really dig that movie, and I would like to check that out.
I read about it.
Yeah, me too.
It's an extra like hour.
Yeah,
but in reality, it's only extra 15 minutes of screen footage because the rest is all in credits.
Yes.
So there's new credits at the end of every. So it's super deceiving.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my point is like it would be cool to see if they just kind of did that with the Marvel movies, or maybe even put everything in kind of sequence and then just kind of like serialize it a little bit. Like just
no.
I think that would be a cool way to deliver it because you got 3 hours. You got the other movies like 2.5. I mean, not to say we're going to sit through them, but it's, in this day and age, it's sometimes I only have like a little bit of time to watch something at night. So it's like, hey, let's watch an hour of this and move on to the next thing tomorrow.
Well, it's like when it'll all be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And it'd be rad when Disney Plus comes out in November that there's a option to watch it in sequence rather than in release date. Because everybody like, what order should I watch the shows in for it to make the most
Google.
sense? Yeah, there's like little roadmaps and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the only part that Okay, so we talked about Tony Stark. What'd you think about how they handled Captain America?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody in old makeup is always like, okay, you're easy there.
Yeah, dude, calm down. But it was just kind of like, hey. Yeah, I think I mean
it was
the last
sweet.
20 minutes. Yeah, it was sweet, but like I think the last 20 minutes, like it went a little long. You know what I mean? It's like they do the little funeral scene and they have to show everybody. That's great. Like oh yeah, that guy. Oh yeah, that guy. Oh, I forgot about that guy. Then they did that little bit, and then they just did a couple other kind of wrap it all up, shit. But like, yeah, it was kind of sweet, but then it's like, oh, it's over, so it kind of ends with that. Because he's a beloved character, so it's like you got to treat him right. You can't just kill him. He decided to go out gracefully, and I appreciate that. So,
but I mean, so he's at the thing, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take all the stones back to their original destinations before all this happened, and that's the part that, like, on Twitter, people are ripping into.
Oh.
So, like, because he has to put them back, the way they were before the heist happens. So that moment when they stole them, he has to kind of reverse that.
Right.
So that means that he's got to put the stone back in the Tesseract. The stone that they took out of Jane, Thor's girlfriend, when Rocket had that little thing and he poked her or assumed. How's he put that back into her?
We could say that, but it would be pretty X-rated, Sean.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, that's... And then the other stone,
move kind of quick there, buddy.
Where Black Widow gives her life for it. Right?
Why isn't he dead?
So it's a soul for a soul. So what happens there?
Right.
Like, does he just, does that mean that she now has a path to coming back alive?
Yeah. It was a little. So yeah, I hear you now. It was because I kind of was thinking that too. I'm like, whoa, that was pretty quick there, buddy. Like, I know he went to the quantum realm, but then it's like, okay, you have some loose ends because you went through all this shit to take them. You're gonna have to go through the same amount of shit to put them back, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother movie within itself.
Sure. Yeah.
Which you could totally do, but I guess the way I kind of finalized it and put the pieces together is that he went back, put them all back where they needed to be, and then just did not warp back. Didn't warp back into the present day. He just decided to go back and live out his life.
Yeah.
And then he traveled to that location at that day, knowing that they would all be there.
Right.
And that's where you kind of see him as the old guy.
Okay.
Hands off his shield and all that kind of stuff. So it just gives you some weird time loops and things like that. Like, is it multi-universe? And, what about this? What about that? There's a lot of, like, not really explained details within that. And that's just kind of what some of the concern is around, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, I could see that, because that's another, like, loose end where it's like, all right, like, it's just like they're trying to wrap the movie up. So it's like, you don't really explain everything. I mean, if you went back with someone else, to help them out, that would have been different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like him doing all the work. So I don't know, Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Maybe that'll be another movie, like,
Yeah, maybe.
Left it open that way. So what's next for this franchise? I mean, are they pretty much done with the Avengers? Or
the Avengers, yes.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man is Homecoming is the end of, like, phase 1 or whatever the hell they're calling it. The phase 2 of the Marvel movies. So that's, like, the official last movie in this first, like, chunk.
Okay.
And then it's going to be all new stories and stuff beyond that. So you might still, they're still on books, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, another Spider-Man movie, Captain Marvel. Like they'll start doing that, but then probably start bringing in other characters and stuff along that path.
Right.
And that's all you can really kind of expect from here. But you won't see any more Iron Man. You won't see any more Captain America. You probably won't see any more Thor unless they merge him with Guardians, which is possible.
Yes.
And you won't see. I mean, Hawkeye's getting his own thing on Disney Plus.
Okay. Like a show, right?
They're gonna do some Scarlet Witch and Vision type of thing or whatever on Disney Plus. They're gonna have their own show or whatever the hell that is. I don't know. So they're doing some spinoffs. There's a Black Widow movie that's supposed to happen. So I mean, it'll be in play.
Okay.
But it's just gonna be all new.
Nothing's ever over.
No. Yeah, listen, you get your Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
nobody ever really
leaves
or
and
dies or whatever. No one ever really just takes a break.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I honestly think I need to watch it again, knowing all the plot points, so I can focus more on like execution and less on storytelling. Sure. And then I think I could be really fair. For me, it was kind of like a B. I think it's not like on its own, it's not a great movie.
Yeah.
It's very clever and it's well executed from a technical point of view, but there's not many strong acting moments outside of some of the key deaths and things like that.
Those are kind of quick.
The lines are just kind of stale and delivered. But it's more about like what role does it play in everything.
It's
so
a piece of the puzzle, then you're saying.
Yeah, I just as a standalone movie, it's really hard.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, they could have chopped up some of that. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, it's true. It's true. I mean, they could have sped up some of the fan service stuff, and they could have cut out some of the character resolutions and just kind of kept it more like a better pace,
right.
I guess.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But I mean, who am I? I still, they still did something amazing in cinema.
Yeah.
So
good for them.
Hats off to them.
Hats off.
Hats off
to you, my good sir.
Yes. All right. Any last words?
Nah,
or we want to call
it's
it?
good. Close
right.
the books on the Avengers.
Yes.
Not really sure what's up next for the blockbusters that I want to see. You got some stuff coming that's a little far off.
Yeah,
Joker movie, but that's not till October. I want to see Tarantino's in August. Star Wars is in December.
I'll probably end up seeing like Aladdin and Lion
Hobbs
King.
and Shaw.
I know I'm going to go to those. Hobbs and Shaw. No, get the hell out of here.
I've seen that preview a bunch of times, or like unwillingly. Yeah. Again, you're going to force feed me this bullshit.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. All right, just like
all right,
yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna call
all
it
right,
there.
Hobbs and
Thanks
Shaw.
everyone for stopping by the Harsh Review. And if you liked it, follow us on the podcast player. Check us out at harshreview.com or on all the social platforms. And we'll be back next week. Curious to see what Ryan thinks of Huge and Friends.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I know we got this new Ted Bundy movie out on Netflix. We should give a shake.
It's out already?
That comes out on May 3rd.
All right.
Yeah.
We're watching that tonight.
I said May 3rd did not reveal the date of recording.
Oh.
No, just kidding.
Dating ourselves here.
And you guys have a good one. My name is Sean.
Ryan.
Party on.
Hobbs and Shaw, dude.